Test, test, test. Good evening, welcome to the Revere Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. I'd ask for a roll call. Oh, please rise and salute the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag, the United States of America, and to the republic for which I stand, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Roll call of the members. Mr. Hamdan? Yes. Here. Mr. Lemonna? Here. Mr. Lopes? Here. Mr. Pelton? Here. And Chairman Tucker?
Here.
Here. Quorum is present. First application on the agenda is by Beth McDougall, 214 Arlington Street, Chelsea, Mass., requesting a variance of section 1716260F1 with respect to the requirement that no accessory structure shall occupy more than 10% of the rear yard to enable the appellant to construct a 1,080 square foot accessory garage at the rear of the existing structure on Lot 4 at 22 Central Ave.
It is my understanding that the applicant wishes to have this continued. However, being a public hearing, I will go through the rolls asking if there is any proponents, anyone in favor. Hearing and seeing none, I'll close that side of the hearing. Are there any opponents, anyone opposed? If you'd kindly step up to the microphone, press the button until the mic turns red. State your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Ken Viscarello. My address is 32 Trenton Street, Manchester, New Hampshire. Thank you for hearing me tonight. I know there's an application to continue this. My name is Ken Viscarello, as I said, and I'm here representing Mr. and Mrs. Sabino Raffa, who are abutters to the applicant, and they live at 20 and 20B Central Avenue. We're here today to oppose the variance that's being requested. The owner of 22 Central Ave is requesting to build a garage that will violate the allowable lot coverage. Under the Revere zoning ordinance, as you well know, the applicant has to satisfy 3 criteria in order to get a variance. Based on the soil conditions, shape, and topography of the lot, denial of the variance would result in a substantial hardship. Granting the variance would give relief without a detriment to the public good. And the third, can the variance be granted without nullifying the intent and purpose of the zoning ordinance? And if you'll give me a minute, I'd just like to run through those 3. It's our position that the applicant doesn't meet any of the 3 criteria. The first criteria, and the one that's always the hardest to satisfy, is a hardship. The applicant's rationale for the variance is basically that they need a 32 by 32 foot garage to clean out the materials and equipment that they have in their basement. That's not a substantial hardship. A substantial hardship has to go to the uniqueness of the land. It has to have something to do with the soils, the slopes, or the topography. 22 Central Ave is just like all the other lots in that vicinity. They're narrow, they're long, and they're flat. There's nothing different about his lot than the other lots that are in that neighborhood that would work a substantial hardship on him. I would also want to note that my client, Mr. Raffa, who has more units on his property, does not need a 32 by 32 foot garage to house his equipment, his lawnmower, and the things that he uses to keep his property up. And Mr. Raffa has lived there close to 60 years. If you go by, you'll see that there's real pride of ownership in his properties. The second condition is relief is not contrary to the public good. Their rationale for satisfying this criteria is they're going to put the garage in the back where you can't see it. That's not a reason for not running afoul of the public good. When people and property owners buy land, they should know that there's a zoning ordinance that affects what they can do with their property. They can't just do whatever they want. And the abutters have to have faith that the ordinance is in effect to protect their property rights and property values, that the whims and the convenience of a neighbor will not act to the detriment of their property, their enjoyment of their property, and the value of their property. Sorry, my fingers are too dry to turn the page. The last portion of the variance is, can the variance be granted without nullifying the purpose and intent of the zoning ordinance? If you look at the purpose and intent of the Revere zoning ordinance, it's right up front in section 17.04010. And it uses words like, the purpose and intent is to prevent overcrowding of the land, to facilitate the provision of drainage, to facilitate the provision of open space, to conserve the value of land and buildings. Everything that the applicant is doing is contrary to the spirit and intent of the Revere ordinance. It's for one of the reasons we feel so strongly about this is it's our suspicion that you'll hear from my client's daughter, it is our suspicion that the real intent behind this variance request is to house construction equipment and trucks for the owner's business. There have been commercial vehicles parked there for months on end, and every night, employees of the owner come and park their trucks there and leave. We don't think this has anything to do with building a garage so he can clean out the basement. We think this is an attempt to house another commercial, the equipment and trucks for another commercial business on that lot. And it's for those reasons that we're asking for the denial of variance. Eleanor Raffa, who is the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Raffa, is here tonight. She also lives at 20B Central Ave, and she'd like to say a few words. Does anyone have any questions for me before I?
None at all.
Okay, thank you.
Questions will be at the end if we do have any. Again, if you could just press the button and it will turn red right on the bottom of the, okay? State your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Eleanor Raffa. My address is 20B Central Ave, Revere. My family has owned and lived at 20B Central Ave for over 60 years, and we still do. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on the proposed accessory garage to be built at 22 Central Ave. I am here to oppose the garage. I believe that the proposed garage will directly impair me and my family. My property is next door to the applicant. We share a driveway. I have a fence that provides a little bit of privacy, but I cannot fence in my entire property due to the shared driveway. My bedroom is located on the side of my house that faces the driveway. There is a lot of traffic entering and exiting the driveway. Currently, there are 4 commercial trucks that are parked in the driveway overnight. The trucks do not belong to any of the tenants that live in the building. The trucks are used during the day and then are parked in the lot behind 22 Central Ave at night. My biggest concern is if this garage is built, it will be used as a warehouse for building materials. The garage is proposed to be built in the back of the lot, which will require trucks to drive to the back of the lot to load and unload the materials. This would tremendously increase the amount of traffic, not only in and out of the driveway, but to now the back of the property. I am concerned with the amount of noise the loading and unloading of trucks throughout the day would bring. I am concerned with what this will be stored in the garage. I am concerned with the pollution from the idling trucks as they load and unload. I am concerned that this will lead to more trucks being parked overnight in the lot, which will result in less space for the tenants to park. The additional trucks may make it difficult for me to get out of my driveway. I am concerned with looking out of my window and seeing a warehouse. I am concerned that the increase of traffic will impede my ability to enter and exit my driveway. I have only one way out of my property. The application states that the garage will be in the rear of the property, so it will not be visible to the street. Although it won't be visible from the street, it will be visible from my window, my bedroom window and my kitchen window. The application states that the garage will be used to store materials and equipment used to maintain the property and to free up storage for tenants. My concern is that the property owner will use the garage to store materials and equipment not just for his property, but for other property he owns as well. A 1,080-square-foot garage is a very big storage unit to store materials and equipment for this one property. About a month ago, a dumpster was delivered and left on the lot at 22 Central Ave for a few weeks. At first, I thought of the dumpster was brought in to clean up since the tenants had just moved out. But it was not. Every day, the property owner would bring truckloads of trash from other job sites and dump it into the dumpster. This is another example of why I believe this proposed garage will become a storage unit for building materials not pertaining solely for this property. My other concern is once the basement is emptied, what will that space be used for? More rental space? When the units are filled, there were at least 20 to 25 people living in those units, 4 units, which brought at least 12 to 15 cars, in addition to the 4 commercial vehicles that are parked there every night, making it very hard for me to get in and out of my driveway. Like I said, I only have one way in and one way out. I live at 20B Central Ave with my family. I'm not an absentee landlord. My family takes pride in our property and in our city. I said, my family has owned this property for over 60 years. I am asking that this committee take into consideration that if approved, this proposed garage will be built in my backyard and become a commercial property rather than a residential property. At the end of the day, the owner of 22 Central Ave leaves his trucks and material and goes home to his house. He is not a Revere resident, while my family and I are left to look at a parking lot filled with commercial trucks. Thank you for listening to my concerns. I invite all of you and any of you to come back to my house and please look at the property. It's a very unique property at 22 Central Ave to get a better understanding of the property and why I so strongly oppose to the building of this garage. Thank you.
Thank you. Normally, the councilor would have been asked to come up first, but
No, I
I
wanted,
know. Okay, thank you.
I'm not going to, Mr. Chairman, Patrick Keefe, 44 Kilburn Street, also the ward councilor for Ward 4 that helps represent that neighborhood on Central Ave. I certainly didn't want to speak before the attorney or the neighbor. I think that they spoke very eloquently on what they are seeing with the property and some of their opposition. So I just echo that in the sense that I have always been supportive of the residents and the neighbors of the area, and their needs really come first. But after going and touring the site a number of times for different reasons, this one being one, it's very clear and unfortunate that the neighbor or the current applicant, there's no doubt that they're using the back of their property for commercial use, which would again be a violation of the zoning that they currently have. So to be able to offer them the ability to build a 1,000-square-foot structure, it only leads me to believe that they would continue to use that for further commercial use, and again, just be more intrusive to the neighborhood. The neighbors haven't complained much about what they're doing now. I think they're being very neighborly and they're being very, they're being somewhat okay with it. But to continue to allow that and go further would be probably more discomfort for the neighborhood. So I would not be in support of this in any way, shape, or form. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Are there anyone else in the audience? Any opposition? Okay. I did try to reach out to Violet Page Family Trust. I'm not sure if they actually reside at 26 or 28. Do they?
That's Dr. Page. He's a dentist. He doesn't live there.
But I thought he had a couple of residential units too there, didn't he?
So the Page property is Dr. Page. He's a dentist, a dental office that's on the other side. And he doesn't live in the city, but no one, he was, I do have his contacts. He didn't speak in favor or against. Usually I allow them to reach out if they have a problem or if they're looking to champion for something.
I'll take it upon myself to reach out to him because they are asking for that shared driveway to be the entrance and exit for their proposed garage. On the plan, that's what they're stating. And I know for a fact that that's not.
Well, if it helps, I'll share his contact with you offline.
Oh, I have his contact.
Okay, great.
Alrighty. The applicant has requested a continuance until January 26th at 5 p.m., so I would ask for a roll call.
Shall the zoning board of appeals allow this matter to be continued to the next meeting of January 26, 2022. Mr. Hamdan?
Yes?
Yes. Mr. Lemonna? Yes. Mr. Lopes? Yes. Mr. Pelton? Yes. And Chairman Tucker?
Yes.
Yes, this matter shall be continued. Next application is A2137, Weimar, Canoe, 303 Vane Street, seeking a variance of section 17.16.260F with respect to accessory structures exceeding 10% of the rear yard located within the required side yard setback to enable the appellant to confirm the existing pool and shed, which were constructed approximately 2 years ago at 303 Vane Street.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. My name is Weimar Canoe. I live in 303 Vane Street. She's going to help me because sometimes, my English, it's, I don't understand sometimes. So I'm here because I built my backyard, and I didn't know I was supposed to come here before and ask for the Board of Appeal to do it. And so I'm here to resolve the problem.
If, I will ask now if there's any other proponents, which I know that the clerk has several proponents that have written here, so we will put them on record. And also, we would ask if you'd step aside so the ward councilor will be able to speak.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank
Councilor
you.
Keefe?
And I know that I've spoken to this resident a number of times over the years. I unfortunately thought that this matter had been resolved a few years back. But I'm very much in favor of what this resident has done. I know that he's going about it slightly backwards because of a misinterpretation. But he'll be happy to share with you the work that was done. Basically, what he did was he built a level deck around the above-ground pool. So he had a above-ground pool, but as you know, the back of Vane Street slopes down. So he leveled off the back of his property to come in line with the top of that above-ground pool, and then built a small shed/cabana with a grill overhang. It's beautiful. It really is. It's done nothing to blight the neighborhood. If anything, it's enhanced it. I think that you'll see by the number of proponents that he has, that neighbors that have written letters in favor, as well as I believe he does have some more proponents in the stand here. But I would share these with, if the TV wants to zoom in on this, this is what the property looked like prior. I feel like I'm representing this person, but I kind of am as a counselor. And this is what the property looks like today. So, I mean, you can see the condition of the property is significantly upgraded, and understanding that his direct abutters are here in support of him, and I would hope that this board would approve this zoning board of appeal, or this appeal. Thank you.
Are there any other proponents? Proponents. If you would like to speak, step up to the microphone, press the red button, state your name and address for the record, please.
Vinnie Lauria, 302 Vane Street. I live across the street from Ricky. The backyard is immaculate. It's done nothing but enhance our neighborhood. It's not like there's crazy parties going on and it's a disruption to the neighborhood. It's kept up, it's neat, it's clean. It doesn't violate, to me, anything as far as like overhanging into somebody's yard or causing any problems like that. It's really, to me, I'm glad he's done that. I knew the previous owner in the backyard was not in good shape. This just enhances our neighborhood and makes it look better. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other proponents?
Good evening. My name is Frank Guzman. I'm on 205 Main Street, next door to Ricky. I have nothing negative to say about Ricky and his backyard. I've been there for about 4 years, and same thing with Ricky. No problem at all. He never take any space from my backyard, and I have no complaint about it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Next proponent.
Hello, my name is Frank Gucciardi. I live at 288 Vane Street. And I've been a resident of Revere for many, many, many years. And I'm glad to see what Ricky did to his yard, as well as my other neighbor here. It just enhanced our neighborhood, cleaned up the area, and I have no disagreements with it at all. I think he did a great job.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents? Hearing and seeing none, I'll close that side of the hearing. Any opponents? Anyone opposed? Hearing and seeing none, I'll close that side of the hearing. What's the will of the council? Do you want to do a roll call and vote right away? Roll call, please. Motion to approve the application.
Shall the zoning board of appeals grant the relief requested? Mr. Hamdan?
No.
No?
Yeah.
Okay. Voting no. Mr. Lemonna? Yes. Voting yes. Mr. Lopes? Yes. Yes. Mr. Pelton? Yes. And Chairman Tucker?
Yes.
Yes, the variance has been granted. Next application number is A2138, Christopher Graham and Catherine Graham, 126 Brad Street, Ave, seeking a variance of Section 17-24010A, minimum rear yard setback for decks in the RB district to enable the appellant to construct a 12 by 20 deck at 126 Brad Street, Ave.
Is the applicant present? If you could kindly step up to the microphone, state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Christopher Graham. I reside at 126 Brad Street Avenue in Beachmont here in Revere.
Do you wish to add anything? Your application pretty much speaks for itself.
Yeah, if I could just take a moment and express my
Okay.
appreciation to everyone for their time. I know Mr. Lopes and Mr. Lemon both stopped by the house. I hope you saw something nice there, could see what we were trying to do. I also want to express my appreciation to Ms. Melnick for helping me with the application process. It's my first time doing something like this, and she was extremely helpful. Just very briefly, my wife and I moved here 5 years ago. We've been doing what we can to restore the house and restore the lot itself. When COVID came along, we had to sort of establish a space for work at home and homeschooling our two children, and so we lost our dining room and some of our recreational space. And so what we were trying to do was to build a place where we could do that. We both very much enjoy, having our family down, but also hosting our friends and hosting our neighbors. And we thought it would provide a space to do that again in a safe manner, especially with what we have. Unfortunately, when we hired a contractor, the contractor did not apply for a permit, so I'm trying to redress that situation myself. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. The questions are normally at the end, so I will continue with the hearing and ask if there's any other proponents, anyone in favor.
Thank you.
If you'd kindly step up to the microphone, state your name and address for the record.
Mary Turner, 112 Brad Street Ave. Just very briefly, we are not opposed to what the Grahams are trying to do. It's a great yard, and it's a great home, and it would be a great addition to them, and they'll do a great job. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other proponents? Anyone else? Seeing and hearing none, I'll close that side of the hearing. Are there any opponents? Hearing and seeing none, I'll close that side of the hearing. Any members wish to speak? Okay, I would then.
I mean, I went by there and I saw that the deck is already you start building the deck up there?
Yes, sir. We hired a contractor back in June to build the deck.
There's a permit on the deck?
No, he did not apply for a permit. And
So he been caught during the construction?
That's correct. And so we ceased
And that's
construction.
why I bring up the building department
I'm sorry?
to cease the job.
Correct. And so I'm trying to redress that by obtaining the application and seeking the variance.
I mean, from my point of view, I mean, the building inspector is correct. Now, what can we help them? I think we have to go back to the building department, verify what's happening.
That the reason they're here is because of the building department put the cease and desist.
Yeah, so I don't think.
And then plan review
Yeah.
requested that they come in front of us.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a letter?
So site plan review's denial letter is just that email
Yeah,
from Frank, and then they cite what section of the.
yeah. There is a denial letter in there from site plan review. John, if you could just point that out there for me. Yes, we're gonna roll on it. Is there a motion to approve? And the one condition that, I know that there was one condition that is being asked is if there are any trees that need to be removed, which I don't believe so now. Did you have to remove any trees?
No, sir. In fact, we added 5 trees last year and another tree this year. So we have plans to add an additional 5 trees once this is done.
Okay. That was the only condition, is that if any trees are removed, that they are replaced, but you're actually adding more, so there's no condition needed. Thank you.
Thank you.
So there's a motion to approve. I'd ask for a roll call.
Shall the zoning board of appeals grant the relief requested for 126 Brad Street Ave? Mr. Hamdan? Yes. Mr. Lemonna? Yes. Mr. Lopes? Yes. Mr. Pelton? Yes. And Chairman Tucker?
Yes.
Yes, the variance has been granted. Next application, A2139, Arrowhead Builders, 35 Birchbrook Ave, Saugus, seeking a variance of section 17-24010, minimum front yard setback, to enable the appellant to construct a single-family dwelling with an attached garage on lots 32, 35, 38, 41, and 44 Liberty Ave.
Good evening, Councilman.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the Zoning Board of Appeals. My name is Lawrence Simeone. I'm an attorney at 300 Broadway, Revere, Massachusetts. This evening, I represent Arrowhead Builders, LLC, a Massachusetts limited liability company in Saugus, Massachusetts. They seek a variance under 48, Section 10, for front and rear yard setbacks as set forth in the site plan review letter and in our application, as well as under the table of dimensional controls 17-24010. When you look at the application, you see my client is attempting to build a single-family home. It's approximately 2,000 square feet, 1,000 on each floor with a 2-car garage. The locus itself consists of 5 lots. Those lots total 10,904 square feet in the RA district with 175 foot of frontage. The present goal of this particular application is so that this individual purchased the property. He's a longtime builder in this area. Mario Scherer is with me. He's built houses in this area for the last 30 years. He specializes now in mobile homes, modular homes, and those modular homes will be used in this particular location. So when you look at the site plan application, you'll see that, the front yard requirement of 20 feet, the particular applicant can provide 18 feet. With respect to the rear yard of 30 feet, the applicant can provide 17 feet. When you apply the Revere setback ordinance to the current land as we have it, there's a hardship, and the hardship results from the shape of that land. So when there's a literal enforcement of the ordinance against a condition that is determined to be a shape or unique shape, topography, or soil condition, in this particular case, we point out to the shape of the lot, the fact that it's very narrow and does not really lend itself to development without some kind of relief from the ordinance. So here we're asking basically that, when you apply the ordinance, the setback requirements for the front and rear yard, that ends up in creating a substantial hardship, financial or otherwise, to the applicant. And so it therefore opens up the opportunity for the board to grant a variance. So if the board grants a variance because of this substantial hardship as a result of the unique condition, i.e. the narrow lot, the shape, and so forth, The board then must look at whether whether there will be substantial detriment to the public good. We'd say that building a single-family home in a single-family district, a new home, along with other new homes in that district, would not result in a substantial detriment to the public good. Nor do we believe this minor request that we're asking, so this lot can fit on this house can fit on this odd-shaped lot, that it would in any way nullify, derogate, or in the interpretation of the zoning bylaw. Like I said, we're here to answer any questions that the board wants. I have Mr. Sharia with me to go over the plans if you need further details. But as I said before, it's a 4-bedroom home with 2-car garage and 1,000 square feet on each floor.
Thank you. I'll continue on. Are there any proponents? Anyone in favor? Seeing and hearing none, I'll close that side of the hearing. Any opponents? Anyone opposed? Seeing and hearing none, I'll close that side of the hearing. Any members wish to speak? You got to press your...
Any
Ward councilor, if there's no opposition, he has no opposition. He was contacted. Thank you for bringing that up. You mentioned mobile home. A modular home is on it's on a footprint, so it's it's a built home that's on a foundation. It's no wheels, nothing. When you said mobile home, that's kind of
I asked Mario to join me to answer those questions because he's done it so long and he's done it so well in so many communities. If you'd like to ask him a question, Mr. Chairman, feel free.
No, basically, a modular home, they're already being built and they truck them in, but it is on a permanent foundation. It does not get moved by any means. Just wanted to make that clear. Are there any other members wish to ask any questions or speak? Is there a motion to approve? Motion to approve, seconded. A roll call, please.
Shall the Zoning Board of Appeals grant the relief requested by the applicant, Mr. Hamdan?
Yes?
Yes. Mr. Lemonna? Yes. Mr. Lopes?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Pelton? Yes. And Chairman Tucker?
Yes.
Yes, the variance has been granted.
Thank you.
Next application is A 2140, Esma Tildino de Cruz Santos, 74 Sigourney Street, seeking a variance of section 1724070A3 with respect to parking prohibited in the rear yard within the RB district to enable the appellant to satisfy the off-street parking requirements for converting a single-family dwelling to a two-family dwelling on lots 853 and 854 at 74 Sigourney Street.
Mr. Chairman, good evening, and members of the Board of Appeals. My name is James Cipoletto. I'm an attorney with offices at 385 Broadway in Revere, and I am representing the applicant. Members of the board, this is a gentleman who purchased the home. It's currently a one-family home, and it is on the corner of Sigourney Street and Grover's. Being a corner lot, it has both its benefits and its challenges. And one of the things that is notable to point out, that in this zoning district, a two-family home is allowed as a matter of right. The home having been built a number of years ago, it appears that the prohibition or the restriction regarding rear yard parking came after the original construction of the home, albeit it was not used as a two-family home. Yet he still does not give up that right. The lot itself is 4,375 square feet. The applicant is desirous, of course, of utilizing the property as a two-unit dwelling, as many of the homes in that immediate area and the surrounding, and indeed in the zoning district. The lot is fairly narrow. It's not a 5,000 square foot lot. If he had a little more room on the left and right, he might be able to park some cars in a driveway on either side, but since it's not a 5,000 square foot lot, it does have a little bit of a challenge. Well, that's the challenge, but there is a benefit as well, having been a corner lot. The proposed entryway into this lot, in order to keep parking off the the city street, is actually from Grover's. So as the plan indicates in the narrative as well, I believe, says that the fence at the rear of the house on the Grover's Avenue side would be removed and access would be from there. There's no need for another curb cut. There is safe access and egress to that area. It would be off, it would not detract or remove any of the on-street parking that maybe some other neighbors who do not have adequate parking, or if they had guests and so forth. A lot of times, board obviously hears, well, if you allow another curb cut or you allow some parking on site, you might be taking off public parking for neighbors, and that's not the case in this situation. There is an amount of, he's done what he can with respect to preserving some of the green space and in circulation around that parking area in the back. It's not going to look out of place. It's not going to be any more detrimental or disharmonious than anything else on that particular street. The narrowness of the lot and the challenges of building and dealing with the restriction on a corner lot creates a hardship. As the board might be able to see, I believe on the plan, it shows that there is actually room for two driveways, one on the left and one on the right. However, because of the narrowness of the lot, that it's not possible to install legally dimensioned parking spaces there. So there is one parking space off-street on the left side of the house, and then the 3 spaces at the rear of the house, access through Grover's, would be a total of 4, which would then comply with the off-street parking requirement under our Revere zoning ordinance. So if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them in due course. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, members.
Okay, seeing and hearing the public hearing, are there any proponents? Anyone in favor? Hearing and seeing none, I'll close outside of hearing. Any opponents? Please step up to the microphone, state your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, I'm Johnny Perez. I currently own the property directly behind Sigourney Street at 73 Augusta Street. And I'm not opposed to what they're trying to do. My question is, out of the 4 houses that are there in that lot, 2 of them already have full concrete yards. And if they plan on putting parking in the back of the house and paving it, what's gonna happen with the water? I'm gonna end up with the only yard that actually has grass and dirt. So all that water is gonna spill over to my property, and I already have a slight water problem. I have 2 sump pumps running in the house, and just now having a property, if they pave it, that water's gonna, you're always gonna pave so the water goes away from the house, meaning the water's gonna go into my property. So I'm all for it, because I love the fact that there's gonna be more street parking for guests, but I'm against it if they plan on paving it, because that means that where's the water gonna go? So that's, again, I'm not for it, I'm not against it, I just have questions.
I got a question.
So, a question?
I drove by this property earlier today, and that side of Grove Street, where they're proposing the parking, and I was more concerned about the neighbor that lives behind him, and he showed up. It's such a small space. I don't see how they're gonna fit 3 cars there, as shown in the picture here, never mind 2 cars. I mean, what's the size of the parking spaces?
I think they're called out 9 by 19.
9 by 18.
9 by 18, I'm sorry.
Just for clarification, just a stipulation here. If this were to get approved, it would be contingent on him filing a proper plot plan according to the ZBA specifications that are on the website, because this is not in all the specifications that we asked for. So that would be a contingent, that a new plot plan with our requirements be put on here include all the dimensional controls from required to proposed. Our plot plan is very specific, it's listed on the website, it just wasn't followed. So if this is to be approved, the condition would be that they do a new plot plan to our requirements, and it'd be a Mylar, so it can be submitted to the Registry of Deeds.
That makes more sense.
So just for that clarification. Any other questions, anybody?
Mr. Chairman, if I may address the gentleman's question, he raises a very good question, and it's something that I had in my notes, and it didn't pertain particularly to zoning, so I didn't raise it. The parking area is proposed to be permeable pavers, so that it's not going to be cement, it's not going to be hot top or anything, it's going to be the pavers that allow water to penetrate and take its natural course under rather than allow for pooling. So that was something that was...
We'll make that a condition.
that
Now,
was
is
part
this
of-
this is not in a floodplain or anything, or a water table problem?
Nothing in the engineer's report, and I must confess that I received this, this plot plan ahead of time. I think that it was provided to Mr. Santos, and then we ran with it. But no, it's not by any indications from the engineering reports that it's in a floodplain or land subject to storm flowage.
And it would be contingent on site plan review and the DPW offering a curb cut. That would be our other issue, that if they, of course, they'd have to make sure that they're allowed a curb cut by the Department of Public Works. Otherwise, our voting or approval is mute. One second.
You have to use the facility, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Two-minute recess?
Anyone? We're going to take a 2-minute recess.
Yes. And then I...
So, hearing and seeing no other opponents or proponents, I would ask for a motion to approve, contingent on our 4 items.
So the 4 conditions that were discussed by the Zoning Board of Appeals for this application are as follows. 1, permeable pavers must be used for the driveway. This variance will also be subject to site plan review and any conditions and findings they may have. A curb cut permit shall be issued by the Department of Public Works, and a new plot plan shall be filed in accordance with all ZBA requirements to include proposed and existing zoning regulations, dimensional controls. So shall the Zoning Board of Appeals grant the relief requested, subject to the conditions of the Zoning Board of Appeals? Mr. Hamdan? Yes. Mr. Lemonna? Yes. Mr. Lopes? Yes. Mr. Pelton? Yes. And Chairman Tucker?
Yes.
Yes, the variance has been granted.
Having no further business.
Oh, wait.
Oh,
Hold
we
on.
have one more business.
Hold on. This was a last-minute application, A2141, S Clause, 1000 North Pole, requesting various temporary variances on December 24th, 2021, to enable the appellant to conduct a one-night, not-for-profit delivery service within the city of Revere to facilitate the delivery of toys and gifts to various resident locations within the community. To reduce the carbon emissions, the appellant proposes to use non-domesticated animals to conduct the delivery services. The non-domesticated animals respond to the names of Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, Vixen, Comet, Cupid, Donner, Blitzen, and Rudolph. There's no further business, Chairman.
Wish everyone a Merry Christmas. Our next meeting will be January 26th at 5 p.m.